So I'm going to play you guys an interview that I heard with Monique calling out Oprah, or kind of explaining her situation with Oprah and sending Oprah a message. Now, I did a video months ago about saying that Monique has been right all along, and people didn't want to see it or didn't want to believe this about Oprah, that she is a snake. I grew up watching Oprah, okay? I am in my 40s. I grew up watching Oprah Winfrey, thinking that she was about the people, thinking that she was sincere. And over the years, though, I have changed my tune on her. Now, Monique has been telling this story for a minute. And a lot of people are like, well, why is she still harping on it? How is she not tired of it? Why is she still like, let it go? To those people, I say this to you. If you have never been raped, all right, you've never been molested by a family member, you've never been betrayed in that way, then don't tell somebody to let something go. If it hurts you, you have the right to speak on it. And clearly it hurt Monique. It hurt her. And as I've stated before, she has been saying the same story over and over. That's why I believe her. You know, one thing about the truth is that when you tell the truth, your story doesn't change. And her story has remained the same all the way through. And so I know that this woman is not lying on Oprah. And people are starting to see just what kind of person Oprah Winfrey is. Okay? When this whole Leaving Neverland stuff came out, you see how quickly she turned on Michael Jackson. She went from being a friend to that family, being Michael Jackson's friend. He trusted her. And then when the whole Leaving Neverland stuff came out, even though it was full of holes and she knows it, she sat up there and interviewed those boys. She knew there were holes in the story. And she still sat up there and gave them a platform and then changed her tune on it. She knew. She absolutely knew. She betrayed that family. And then, most recently, if you don't even remember the whole Michael Jackson thing, with the Central Park Five. Now, years ago, when these boys were on trial for a crime that they did not commit, she had the prosecutor on the show as well as the victim of the crime. Now, these boys, as you know, did not rape this woman. Never once did she reach out to those boys' families or even to those boys. She assumed them guilty. She even went as far as saying that they were guilty. You have to look it up. It's probably on YouTube or something like that. She did that. And now all of a sudden, when They See Us comes out, you know, it's been critically acclaimed. Now is nominated for all these Emmys and all this other stuff. And, you know, she's also a producer of that Netflix series, you know, with Ava DuVernay. Now all of a sudden she wants to have the boys on a panel. All right. One of the boys, I remember saying, he said during the trial, he was praying that Oprah Winfrey would reach out. He was praying that Oprah Winfrey would ask them. She never did. She never reached out. Now all of a sudden she want to act like, oh, you know, these boys were wronged. And well, now they're men now, but these men were wronged and things like that. Now she wants to be the fake and the phony. And it just isn't working for a lot of people now. They're seeing through the bullshit. They're seeing through it. Now she wants to act like she had nothing to do with the fact that she gave that prosecutor a platform. She gave the victim, which again, this woman was victimized, but not by these kids, not when they were kids. It wasn't them. And she still believed them at the time. She believed the prosecutor at the time. You mean to tell me it took all of that time for her to even reach out to these boys, to even reach out to these young men and to get their story? She only did it because, you know, because it was attached to Ava DuVernay. All right. Oprah has been snaking folks for a minute. Oprah has been about the money for a minute. But again, Monique has been calling her out from the get-go. And people have been calling Monique bitter. She's bitter. Won't you get over it? Won't you stop talking about it? You know, enough already. Now, I'll be the first to say, I haven't always liked how Monique has moved. There's some things that I have admired about her. I love the fact that she stood up for herself when it came to Netflix. Even if people weren't behind her, I admire that. I admire that she isn't afraid of Hollywood. Even if that means that she's not going to work, as frequently. Even if she has to set her own terms, make her money the old way like she used to on the comedy scene, that's fine. At least she's keeping her integrity intact. But one thing you can't say about this woman is that she's lying on Oprah Winfrey. And I'm telling you, she's been saying the same story about Oprah for years. So I'm going to go ahead and let you guys listen to this audio. It is roughly about 11 minutes. And, go ahead and listen for yourself and you can make your own decisions. All right. But I believe Monique, Oprah has been this way. And I'm glad people are finally waking up to her bullshit. Go ahead and listen.
Tell her. I would say, Oprah Winfrey, you know what you need to do. And stop hiding behind what you call was negative comments. What you call, I don't even deal with things like that. Because what people are beginning to do is see you for who you are. Where Oprah Winfrey and I have a problem is Oprah Winfrey called us up. And she said my brother wanted to come on the show and talk about him molesting me. And he wanted to tell other parents how to look out for molesters. My brother Gerald is a charmer. So my mind thought was, because she said, do you want to come on? I said, I don't want nothing to do with that cat. I said, nigga, I know it's up to a scam. But people can change. And who am I to say he hasn't changed? It might really be different. So I don't want to get in the way of that. I just don't want nothing to do with it. She said, if you don't want me to have your brother on the show, I will cancel the show. No show will happen. But I wanted to call you up to see how you felt first. When I hung up that phone, brother, I looked at my husband. I said, that bitch is all right with me. That's a real...
She kept it because
she didn't have to call me up. She didn't have to say my brother was coming. She could have just ran with the shit and let it happen. I dig her for that. Now I begin to see commercials with my brother, my mother, my father, and my other brother. Now, the reason why that means so much is because in the conversation we had about my brother, we then went deeper. And we began to talk about our relationships with our mothers and our fathers. And I shared my relationship with her about my mother, as she shared hers with me, which I will never repeat because she shared it with me about her mother and father. It might be something she shared with everybody, but wanted to make me feel special. I don't know. Nonetheless, it was in our moment. I shared with her that me and my mother was not talking. I shared with her we were in a really bad place. I shared with her I was hurt and, trying to figure this thing out. She never said my mother was coming on that show, because had Oprah Winfrey said, I'm going to have your mother, I would have said, shut it down. I don't need the world seeing how greedy my mother is. Shut that down. That's one of the reasons why we don't communicate, because of my mother and father's greed. So if you had given me the opportunity, I would have said, I can't put my mother, that's still my mother.
Right.
Okay? Now here comes this show. And here comes the commercials. And now I'm starting to see my mother and my father and my other brother, who was my manager. We didn't discuss that, Oprah.
Wait, he was your manager and he went to Oprah?
Wasn't my manager at the time.
Okay.
Now I had already, fired him.
Gotcha.
So I'm watching this show, and I'm watching my father sit there, who was a strong alcoholic. I'm watching him drunk. I'm watching my mother be greedy. I'm watching my other brother, who was my manager, be greedy. I know my family. And I'm watching my brother who molested me sit on this stage trying to paint this picture of I'm trying to be a help, but now I'm watching the scam. As much as they keep talking, I'm seeing the scam take place. Well, when it was all said and done, Oprah Winfrey calls me. And in that moment, I was still stuck in, this is Oprah Winfrey. How do I say, you had my mother, my father, my other brother, and I'm stuck in that moment. And when we hung up that phone, my husband looked at me and said, what's wrong with you? That's not what we made of. You know how you felt about that and how you feel about that. And you need to let that woman know, I don't care about a title and a position. That's not what you cut from. So it was my obligation to let Oprah Winfrey know how I really felt. Now I want you to understand something too. See, this is why me and Oprah Winfrey got a problem.
It's still there.
Until that woman says, let me apologize to you publicly, it'll be to the day I leave this earth. Because what you did was malicious, and it was intentional, and it was ugly.
If Oprah was watching this, what would you tell her?
I would say, Oprah Winfrey, you know what you need to do. And stop hiding behind what you call was negative comments, what you call, oh, I don't even deal with things like that. Because what people are beginning to do is see you for who you are.
Let them know what you said, which is the reason why there's a problem, because she did actually confront.
Alfred Woodard had a Oscar party for the previous black woman that won Oscars and for the black woman that was nominated, and it was Lupita's turn that year. And she had him all the other years, and I had declined. Just my schedule wouldn't let me do it, or, for whatever reason. I was like, no, thank you. But this year I said, okay. And Oprah Winfrey was going to be there. Now, keep in mind, I was trying to reach out to have this private conversation. No return calls, whatever number she did give, no longer work. Just, however it went, I could not get to Oprah Winfrey. So I see her this night. And Alfred Woodard says to me, we want you to understand, Monique, when we go into the red room, you can say whatever's on your heart. Almost like there was a universal energy where this sister knew something needed to be said. I can't say it factually, but, she said it to me a few times. Whatever you need to say, this is the place to say it. Whatever you need to say, this is the place to say it. So they were going around the room getting people's feelings on how they felt about when they got this Oscar. And it got to be my turn. And I really wasn't impressed with the Oscar. So I really didn't have anything to say to Lupita other than, baby, play it your way. This is your turn. So do it the way you want to do it. So you don't look back and say, I wish I would have. No one else can tell you how to do it, but you can do it your way, because it's your name that will be called. You're the nominee. And then I looked to Oprah Winfrey. And I said, you and I need to have this conversation. Why would you have my mother on your show?
This is from...
in front of everyone. So for all the women that were there, the one thing, people can say I'm loud, they can say I'm tactless, they can say I'm overbearing, as Oprah Winfrey has considered me, but what they've never said is she's a liar. Ain't nobody ever said Monique is lying. So for all them women that was there that night, they know exactly what was said. And I said to her, how could you have my mother on your show? That's not what we discussed. And you don't understand what I've had to walk through since you've had my mother on your show. See, I got to deal with women coming up to me in the Walmart saying, Monique, your mama ain't shit. I got to deal with that. Now, I got to defend. They ain't lying, but I still got to defend it because that's my mother. Okay, Daddy, but that's the truth. But I still got to defend it. You don't understand what position you put me in doing that. So now this is my moment to talk to you. And what she did was took the cowardly way out. I won't call her a coward. I'll say it was cowardly, but it was okay. And she said, if you think I did something wrong, I want to apologize. And what my husband taught me a long time ago, an apology is not something that you think you need to give. If somebody else think you need to give it, it's what you feel. So she came off like Mother Earth that she is. If you think I did something wrong, no, Oprah, it ain't what I think. You did do something wrong. You maliciously, and you had full intentions of having my parents on your show and not saying anything to me. Was that for ratings?
It seemed like she exploited the situation.
Were you just exploiting me? There are some sisters in this business that are about it. Regina King was there that night. Angela Bassett was there that night. Lynn Whitfield was there that night. Kerry Washington was there that night. There are some sisters that are truly about it because they sat back in those chairs. And they were looking like, what we know Monique ain't doing is lying. That's what we know she ain't doing. So when it comes to Oprah Winfrey, let me be clear so people... I'm a little black fat girl from Baltimore, Maryland. And I saw this fat black woman on a TV show called People Are Talking. That was a local show. And she had big shoulders and a big bush and big feet like me. And I said, wow, when I grow up, that's what I want to do. And then we took a field trip to that studio. And I hugged that woman. And I said, when I grow up, Miss Winfrey, I want to do what you do. And she said, you know, you got to work really hard. So the day I walked out on that stage to the Oprah Winfrey Show, and I was promoting Roscoe Jenkins. And after that show, that woman hugged me and said, when I look at you, I ain't doing nothing but looking at me. And then when I remind her that that's what she said to me, she says, oh, I say that to everybody. Well, then what does that make you? Everybody reminds you of you? Or do you just say things in the moment? So when I say to our community, I know Oprah Winfrey when the curtains are closed. I know her when the cameras aren't running. That's why Oprah Winfrey does not want to sit down publicly with me nor my husband to have a conversation, because within minutes, the community would know who Oprah Winfrey really was.
And see, I believe every word that Monique just said out of her mouth. If she was to sit down with Oprah Winfrey, the community, our community, would figure out what kind of snake she is. But I don't even think that needs to happen anymore, because honestly, I think people have been waking up. There's just been a few things that's been happening with Oprah Winfrey that's clearly been showing the community that she is not who you think she is. I'm not going to sit here and take away the fact that she has helped a lot of our children go to college. I'm not going to take away the fact that she has definitely helped kids go to school and things like that. And I'm sure there's other things she has done. But again, that does not erase the fact that she has been a snake, and she is not for people. She is not for our people. She is fake and she's phony. Like I said, if the whole Michael Jackson thing didn't move you and you weren't moved by that, and you weren't moved by the whole When They See Us and about the fact that she didn't believe those boys, she never gave those boys a platform until this movie came out on Netflix, what else do we need to convince you? Because Monique has been saying the same story over and over and over for years. She has been saying it for years, and people are finally waking up. Like I said, I have believed Monique. I have believed her. That's one thing about the truth. No matter how many times you say it, it remains consistent. And she has been consistent. And so I'm with her. And I'm glad that people are finally waking up to Oprah Winfrey's bullshit. I'm glad. I'm glad that Monique went ahead and said her story. She's getting it out. This is her therapy. Let her tell her story the way she wants to tell her story. And I'm with you. I'm with you, Monique.